Welcome everyone to Tech Talk by Netranom, a podcast where you will learn tips and tricks on managing your IT. I'm your host, Alena Adkins. Let's get started. We'd do this podcast, we'd mix it up a little bit. I have with us our new CEO at Netranom, Hampton Cokeley. Hampton, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So you started as the new CEO of Netranom April 1st, correct?
Yep. On April Fool's Day.
Wow, this is fantastic. So this is obviously an exciting time for Netranom, having our new CEO. Can you just walk us through who you are and what brought you to Netranom?
Sure. So yeah, my name's Hampton Cokeley. I'm originally from Charleston, West Virginia. Grew up in the Valley, but wanted to kind of get a bit more experience outside. I went to undergrad at the Citadel. It's a military school in South Carolina. Originally wanted to go into the military, but I got disqualified for medical reasons. So I looked for other ways to serve, at least the best I could. Went and worked for Senator Capito for about 4 years. Worked on our U.S. Senate campaign in Southern West Virginia. Worked in D.C. for a little while, and then came back to the state working on economic development. And the whole time I was working in politics, I just kind of saw, all right, what's the best way I thought to give back to West Virginia? I saw a shortage in some technology know-how. I saw a need for more business leaders, and so I wanted to go kind of carve that path out for myself. So I went to business school at the University of Texas, got an MBA, spent a few years down in Austin, Texas, worked at Dell Technologies in global product marketing, had the opportunity to travel all around the world, working with different sales teams in China, India, Singapore, Ireland, all over Europe, the United States. Then got an opportunity to work in investment banking in Richmond, Virginia, where I did healthcare mergers and acquisitions. I was an associate there, working on transactions where businesses were growing and raising money and selling stuff to investors, larger companies. But ultimately knew I wanted to work with small businesses or startups. Yeah. So I got an opportunity with some friends to work on their startup, Iconic Air, which was founded in Morgantown by a couple of WVU grads. And we worked on that for a couple of years. Until I really realized that I wanted to run a small business back in West Virginia. I just really missed being a part of a local community. And that's what I love most about this Netranom opportunity is I get to every day talk to small business owners, nonprofit executive directors about how they can be more efficient with technology and how we can help them maximize what they're good at. So very quickly, like a CPA firm, they want to focus on doing your taxes, not troubleshooting Outlook, not figuring out why emails are getting lost. IT's just table stakes at this point. So we want to make it as effortless as possible. And that's what I want to bring back to West Virginia and scale it and just create a real effortless experience for our customers.
Yeah, that's great. So what, kind of going off of what you had just said, what drew you to Netranom? Was it the people? Was it our core values? Or what kind of led you to be like, I think this is the next step in my professional career?
Sure. So I met Scott, who's the founder and the CEO, and really saw what he built. I mean, the people are incredible. We've got a great team of hardworking folks who are tech savvy, but have that blue collar work ethic where they'll get in, work overtime until the problem's solved. So was really impressed by the people, saw that it was a great foundation from which we could build a larger team and could really expand our capabilities. So I'd say it was the people, and talking a little bit about the opportunity. It's a very solid company with a great statewide reach, and I saw just that Netranom already had a great reputation, but then also bringing in this Lyra element. So Lyra, for those who don't know, is the larger platform that owns Netranom currently, but we're nationally, if not globally owned, but we're locally operated, which is kind of the best of both worlds because you get the pricing power of like a Walmart,
Right.
but you can be nimble like a your corner small business store where it's like, yeah, we don't want to do that anymore. We can just pivot. We don't have to like run it up the flagpole.
Yeah.
So operations decentralized, but ownership centralized.
So for those of our viewers that don't know who Netranom is, can you give like a brief background of what Netranom is, what we do, and how we help local
Sure.
SMBs?
Yeah, so we're an outsourced technology partner. So we're your for the most part one-stop shop. Really one hand to shake, one throat to choke, however you want to look at it. But hopefully we're shaking hands more than choking throats. But we'll manage your network. So that means network administration, which means kind of like taking care of your devices, your really the IT infrastructure of your business. We'll handle your phones. We'll do security, physical security, so like access control and cameras, and why each of those matter. Network administration, I think a lot of people take for granted. I know I certainly did before getting more involved in IT, but it's not just like your house where you just like set a router by your computer up on a shelf and turn it on and then the place is hot wired. Like you have to have your business is a much larger target than somebody's house. It's like having weapons grade or like military grade materials versus consumer grade. It's meant to it just takes a lot more reps. So you want to have a professionally managed infrastructure because in your house, you don't have people necessarily moving in and out of it. Like people aren't coming in and out of your family, but people are coming in and out of your business. You're getting new employees, you're offboarding employees, you're giving people access to things, you're taking access away. So it really is a full-time job.
Yeah.
Phones, very similar deal. Access control and security cameras, something not a lot of people think about because they'll go just get something off of, say, Amazon, but a lot of it has glaring security holes. So the security people don't necessarily always talk to the IT people, but when you have an IT partner, a security partner that is also an IT-minded partner, then it meshes together.
Yeah, I think that's a great point too because our whole goal is it's better together. Can you explain more of what that means what do we mean when we say we work better together?
Sure. So typically when you hear that, a company will be referring to like bundled pricing where you'll see it a lot with insurance. But for us, the way I think about it, what I think is important for people to realize is that companies like Netranom, we don't make anything. Right? Like we're not manufacturing the cable. We're not writing the code. We are managing this orchestra of chaos. Of hundreds, if not thousands of vendors that are constantly updating, constantly breaking, constantly like finding vulnerabilities and we're like trying to just keep back this onslaught of multinational companies changing and fluctuating and changing prices and all that. So better together, when you have one entity doing that and that has a view on all of these vendors and make sure that the glue works versus having like a network person, a phone person, a security person, because the security people could not, for example, maybe they're doing a great job and your network person's not doing a good job. And then, so you've got a network that's like Swiss cheese, but the cameras work. So like people aren't going to get inside from the outside, but they can certainly like plug a flash drive into one of your devices. So you've got to have this balanced approach to all of it. And I think that's when we say better together. It's better to have one IT partner rather than having these silos that don't really talk to each other.
And then you as the business owner have to be the middleman.
Yeah, then you become a project manager.
Yes.
Which the whole reason that so many of our customers engage with us is because they're tired of being the project manager. I've worked with an MSP before. When I was in my previous role at Iconic Air, I engaged an MSP to work with us and manage our devices and help us keep track of this national workforce that we had, where we had laptops all over the place and our heaven forbid somebody smashes a window in San Francisco and gets a hold of our whole code base. I was working with this guy and it just became very apparent I didn't want to project manage, so I just pushed it all off to Steven, which, if anybody in listeners in the Richmond area, shout out to Steven Seal, who does great work with Apple products.
Yeah.
But my first intro to MSPs.
So what makes Netranom different? Because we're obviously not the only IT MSP out there. What makes us different as opposed to other MSPs?
Yeah. So I think what makes us different is I'm not a technologist. I don't come from an IT background. I worked for Dell, but when I applied to Dell, I truthfully didn't know what a server was. So I come in. I mean, we've got many technologists on our team, but I come in as somebody who's been the ops manager, the end user, and I look at it from the perspective of the customer at all times. I think what makes us different is that we're coming into this with I'm coming into this with fresh set eyes, and our team has in the past. Like Scott was not necessarily a technologist, so he looked at it from a customer perspective, and I'm continuing that, where we're just hyper customer experience focused, even more so going forward. How can we make this experience effortless for the end user, getting reports, doing more preventative maintenance? And we're all doing these things, but these are the things that we're focused on. We would love to find a way where our customers never have to, like, we want to stay in constant contact with our customers, but we want to limit the number of times that you reach out to us.
Right.
Feel free to reach out to us, but the more preventative work that we can do, the more times you're not submitting a ticket, the more time you're back to just doing your job.
Right.
So I think that's what really sets us apart, is a focus more on the experience than the technology, because the technology today, it's not totally commoditized, but a lot of it works. Like after so many years, like you get your network set up and we've got it to a place where it works and it's best in class. But what really is going to differentiate us, what really is going to grow, we're not going to get any better in West Virginia by diving into high tech things for your average small business owner.
Yeah.
Where we're going to get better is helping our customers become more efficient, learn about technology, become more tech savvy, and integrate just incremental changes in their business that frees up 5, 10, 15 hours a week for them and their employees, to where they can spending time with their family or spending time on the organization.
So this is kind of a daunting question. I know you just started on April 1st, but what is your vision for the future of Netranom? What are your goals?
Sure. So I think I'd love to build Netranom into a regional brand that is first and foremost a West Virginia business. So I think one other thing that sets us apart, I mean, there are a lot of MSPs in the West Virginia, the region, and all good at what they do. But I think what sets us apart from, say, larger national MSPs or some of the smaller players is we're very focused on efficiencies and also just being hyper local at scale. So we want to be very engaged in each community, because the businesses that we work with are very community focused businesses. And so we have to understand where they're coming from and the challenges they're facing in their community in order to effectively service them. So you have these large companies that don't have any insight into the community. Right. And then you have the smaller companies that are 100% community focused, but they can't operate across statewide. So what I see Netranom doing is operating at a community focused way at scale. So having more field marketing, having more of a local presence, where we are people in Fairmont, they're like, well, I didn't realize that Netranom wasn't headquartered in Fairmont or Morgantown or Wheeling or Parkersburg, or we'll get over to Ohio, Ashland, Kentucky. A lot of these regions that get overlooked by large companies, we want to pull the resources of a large organization to make businesses in historically underserved areas in rural America more efficient and just help people operate better so they can focus on why they got into business in the first place. I mean, an electrician didn't get in the business of being an electrician to troubleshoot his laptop.
Right. What are some final thoughts that you would give to a small business owner that's listening today who's trying to manage their IT?
Sure. So when people talk about IT or they think about IT, they often think of it like if you're looking at a facility or outfitting a facility, think of it like buying lamps, right? Like it's just like an accessory. It's a nice to have. You don't really need to have it. Well, you absolutely need to have it. It's kind of like back in the day saying you don't need pen and paper. I mean, it's the tracks on which your railroad runs. Right. So looking at an organization, this applies to nonprofits as well. You've got really 5 core buckets in your business or organization. You've got finance, so your numbers. Are you making money, breaking even, hitting your targets, raising money? And you've got your people, your human capital, your talent. You've got your core operations, like what exactly it is that you do. Sales and marketing, and again, nonprofits, it could be fundraising and or community outreach, marketing, things like that. And then you have IT, because all of that runs on IT. So it's not, you have to be, now the point I'll make And as the IT person, you think that I would say, you should spend money on all of them equally. Like, no, I mean, you don't necessarily need to spend money on all these buckets equally, but you should be intentional about each bucket. You should really strive to build out a best-in-class finance function because you're going to thank yourself later. You should treat your people well. You get what you pay for from a talent perspective.
Right.
You should invest in best-in-class operations. You'll get caught by your competitors if you don't. Sales and marketing, you always need to be growing. And then IT, you need to be very intentional about how you structure your network, especially with all the cybersecurity threats and just people fat-fingering things and just good and bad actors that could harm your organization's trajectory. So I think you don't need to spend the same amount of money on IT as you do your core operations, but you need to pay just as much attention to IT as you do your business, your people, and everything. So you can't just let it sit in the background, buy some laptops, and then rethink about it down the road. And I think that's the hardest thing when people look to, I'll just figure it out myself. All right, so you figure it out today. You got a million things on your plate. Say you teach yourself all about IT today as a business owner, and you set up your own network. Well, that network's out of date. It's obsolete in 6 months, maybe. I mean, that's a stretch. So you can't teach yourself day in and day out. It's a full-time job staying ahead of cyber threats and patching and the changing environment. So you really need somebody to mind the ship.
Yeah.
And whether that's an MSP, whether that's an in-house person, that's really up to you. Because ultimately, I don't want to force anybody into a relationship that doesn't work for them. But you really just should have somebody paying attention to your IT and just making sure that it's up to snuff because the world's only getting more dangerous from a cyber perspective.
Yeah. If it's a full-time job for our techs, it's going to be a full-time job for you as well.
Yeah, especially if you got one person doing it.
Right. So to wrap things up, I have a rapid fire round. Are you ready?
I am. I have not seen these. I tried to get her to show me the questions beforehand.
He did.
Because I told her to do this to other employees, and then she's like, "Well, no, you said you had to do this. I had to do this to Paul," and I said, "Well, it was different when it was Paul." But now
different.
But now it's not different. So, all right.
There's just four. There's just four questions. So, I'm going to hit you with these questions and just say the first thing that comes to mind.
Just one word, or just first?
No, just the first thing that pops into your head. All right. So, what is a favorite piece of tech that you cannot live without?
Definitely my phone.
Yeah.
I'd say. I mean, you've got the processing power of a whole computer right at your fingertips.
Right.
Which, I need to stay off my phone more.
Yeah.
If my wife sees this, she'll probably agree that yes, my phone is my weakness. So yes, unfortunately, my phone.
Your phone. Yep.
Yeah.
No, I feel like a lot of us can agree to that.
Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Yes.
Or Celsius.
Celsius.
No, I've been dialing back the Celsius. I just had a Celsius this morning, but I'm definitely more of a coffee drinker. I would like to drink more tea though.
Yeah. The best leadership advice you've ever received?
Oh yeah, that you can delegate authority, but you cannot delegate responsibility. I think it's probably one of the biggest ones. You'll see that a lot where people be like, it's not my fault. Ultimately, whatever. I've delegated authority to 36 people, but ultimately everything's my responsibility. You just gotta own it and move forward.
Yeah, that was pretty fast. I'm surprised. I mean, I did not show him these questions, and he knew.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about leadership the past 6 days.
Yeah.
So I had that one teed up.
All right, and the last one that I have is, what is one app every business owner should have?
Oh. One app every business owner should have. Well, so there's Microsoft Office apps, but I feel like that's kind of a cop-out. You have to have those, right?
You have to have Outlook.
I use the Outlook app instead of, say, Apple Mail. I just find that it integrates better with all the Microsoft functions. Oh, all right, here's Spotify.
Yes.
Spotify is a great one. I moved back to West Virginia from Virginia. So I was driving back and forth for a while and recently discovered that if you are a Spotify subscriber, there are a ton of audiobooks on there, and you get 10, 15 hours of free audiobooks a month, and you can buy an expansion pack of hours. So I think it was $30 to buy 10 hours, but you can roll that over. So I have 10 to 15 hours every month, and then just kind of a a reservoir of hours that if I have a overage month, I can pull into. But I've listened to like How to Make a Few $Billion by Brad Jacobs, like The Prize by Daniel Jurgen. It's about the oil and gas industry. Just a lot of good listening books are on there. So I think, if you're running an organization, Spotify, there's just a treasure trove of information. They have resources with these books, and not to mention all the podcasts, but I felt like that was a cop-out. I don't think a lot of people know about this audiobooks feature. So for everybody out there, please go check it out and just give it a listen.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that because I'm a Spotify user too, and I can just listen to a book there. Well, thank you so much, Hampton. I know we're super excited for this new transition that we've just had at Netranom, and we're excited to just grow and under your leadership, be more and more successful. So,
well, thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining us, and stay tuned for our next podcast.
See ya. The next one.